Hi and welcome to Creatively Montessori. Today I'm going to show you a spooning work that, because the medium, the beads are so small, this would be intended for the 3 to 6 year old or primary classroom. If you had larger items that were not a choking hazard, this same idea would be very appropriate in the toddler classroom. These are beads that are kind of red-green, so I would probably have this out in December. And so I'm going to show you the presentation, and then I will do it again and talk you through what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. This is spooning. So in a Montessori environment, everything is on a tray or in a basket of some kind that contains the work. This is a practical life material, which is the first area of a primary classroom. I say first because when a child enters into the Montessori primary environment, the practical life area is where you want them to start working. It's where you show them their initial lessons, because this is how you get them adjusted, or in Montessori terms, normalized to the classroom. You would present several practical life lessons the first day, and spooning or grasping, tonguing work, pouring work, those are some basic materials that you would present, because you might have several of these on your shelf that are different medium, different spoons, so that you might show them one presentation and then they have 3 or 4 others. Here's another sample of very similar work. You're again going to the spoon. These are something I would have out in January because they look like ice crystals. But again, it would just be, these different mediums would appeal to different children for different reasons. In Montessori, the practical life area of the classroom is to help, the goal is to help the child choose their own work. So they would carry it, take it from the shelf, and then they would take it to a table. Practical life work is always done at a table. That's one of the ways that a child learns how to pull, they put the work down on the table, they pull out their chair, they sit on their chair on the bottom, they pull the chair, scoot the chair back in, and then they begin their work. When I showed it to you, I showed you to go from left to right, because that's how we read. We read from left to right and from top to bottom. In this case, the only top part is that I took the spoon from the top and then went left to right, left to right. That is how you present the material to the child. And when I present the material to the child, I say, I'll present it as if I'm doing it with you. It's on the shelf, and I would say the child's name. This is spooning work. I would pick it up, take it to the table, put it down, pull out my chair, sit down on my chair. The child would be standing. I have the child stand because I'm sitting in the chair. So they would stand next to me, and they learn over time to put their hands behind their back because it is a very quick lesson. It's about a 1 or 2 minute lesson. So they would stand next to me. They are observing. You do not want to talk while you are presenting the lesson. You want them to watch what you are doing, and you want them to be able to hear what you are doing. So when I was doing it the first time, the sound of the beads was very attractive to me, at least. Hopefully it was to you as well. So you would sit down, and then I'm going to do the lesson as if a child were watching. This is spooning work. this is spooning work. I would stand up, push my chair in, pick up the material, put it back on the shelf where I got it from, and say, this is spooning work. And depending on if you're at home or if you're in a school setting, in my Montessori primary classroom, I might say, now it's your turn. Or I might say, this is now a choice of one of the things you can choose. Or if these two different things were on the shelf, I might say, this is spooning work and this is spooning work. Which one would you like to do? So there are a variety of ways to do it. I want to just mention about the spoon. It is important that by the time they are 3 in the primary classroom that they are holding the spoon correctly. This is called the toddler grasp, where their hand is over. And so if a child does that, you want to show them to do palm up and then they grasp it like this, like a little bird. And that's important because you're preparing them for holding a crayon, a pencil, a marker, that kind of thing. So when you see a child in primary holding like this, you just want to say, remember, put your palm up, make your palm face the ceiling. And children very quickly pick up on that, especially if you reinforce it during snack time, if they're using a spoon, or during mealtime. So what are the objectives of this lesson? Well, as I just mentioned, this is primarily for self-feeding, you being able to use a spoon, but it also deals with work habits. So the child is choosing their own work, they're following the sequence of skills, so they're choosing the work, they're taking it to a table, there's a system of steps that they need to follow. And then they're moving the items with the spoon from the left container to the right container. And then you saw me turn it so that the material is back on the left side. Remember, a child is going to do this many, many times. There are very few 3 and 4-year-olds who will do this once and put it back on the shelf. They will do the material, they'll turn it, they'll do it again, they'll do it again, they'll do it again. Sometimes they'll forget to turn it, right? So my medium was on the left and then I moved it to the right. And some children will just put it back that way. That's not how I presented the lesson, but they're not doing anything to harm the material, so you let them be. You just observe that that's what they're doing, and you watch over time, because again, they're still working on their fine motor skills. They're just not working on that concept of left to right, which is one of the objectives for this material. So this is spooning or spooning work, and there again are lots of objectives. And so I hope that you enjoyed this Montessori presentation. I think it's perfect whether you're doing Montessori at home or you're in a childcare setting or in a Montessori setting. The trays you can get, this one I got at the Dollar Tree, but I pick them up all the time at thrift stores, and sometimes parents donate them to me. These are little glass jars that actually had yogurt in them. And so that's what I used. In Montessori, we're big about using as many natural materials as we can, but we intentionally want to use glass because first of all, it has a better weight to it than some plastic things, but in a Montessori environment, ideally, if it falls, we want the child to understand that it's not a toy. It's not something that will just bounce because it's plastic. So we want them to have kind of that weight as they're carrying it a little, so that they pay a little bit more care and attention to it. I hope that you enjoy this and that you subscribe to my channel, Creatively Montessori. I will be offering many more lesson presentations so you have an understanding of the Montessori philosophy and the pedagogy, the lessons that we do, why we do them, what the objectives are. So please give me a thumbs up and then subscribe if you hit the bell. You will be notified every time I upload a new video. Thanks so much for joining me today.